Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Body. Today, we're going to talk about how to have a healthy vegan diet that supports your weight loss and your fitness and overall health goals. And I think this is a great topic because most people would think like having a vegan diet already is like healthy, but that's not the case.
And it's why I'm so excited because even myself, I'm working as a coach for 8 years now, and I do have a lot of knowledge about nutrition. But when we're talking about vegan, it is other thing. And I always recommend my clients to go look for a professional. I'm blessed that Andrea can help my girls and everyone with her knowledge, because I see a lot of people. I'm healthier because I'm a vegan. Well, it is depend. I haven't seen a lot of people getting unhealthy because they became vegan and they don't know what to do. They cut off all the protein come from animal, and then it's very hard.
It's really hard. And I went vegan actually just over 4 years ago, I think. And, but I now eat fish, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But most people, when they decide to go from a carnivore diet to a vegan diet, just like they cut out all this food, all this meat and dairy and cheese, and they replace it either with processed food or with like foods that don't like round out a well-balanced diet. So it becomes like very restrictive. And unless you have a coach or a nutritionist or somebody to help guide you, or unless you're like really intentional about like making sure that you're capturing all the vitamins and minerals and eating a well-balanced diet, you are going to be unhealthy.
What made you to go vegan? What made your mind and decide to go for a very hard and different lifestyle?
Definitely my love and compassion for animals. That is the number one reason. I was healthy before, and I had a really well-balanced diet before. So it had nothing to do about like losing weight or getting healthier. I was already healthy. But I just had been like a little bit more and more resistant to animal products, particularly like meat over time. And there was like, 1 year, like every year, before I was on prep, I would do like a sober October, where I wouldn't drink for the month of October just to kind of like do something, to shock my body a little bit. And so 1 year I decided, in addition to sober October, I would cut out all animal, like go vegan for 1 month. And during that time, I like researched it. I educated myself. I watched a lot of documentaries, which I know there's like What the Health or Game Changers for anybody who is looking for a documentary or who may know about them. And of course, documentaries are biased, so I would take it with a grain of salt, but they were so eye-opening for me about health, but particularly just about animal cruelty and the environment. And I just thought like there was no way, after seeing the treatment of animals, that I could go back to eating like any animal products in my diet.
It's why I never watch it, to be honest.
Honestly, like they say, ignorance is bliss. And it's just like, I follow PETA like on Instagram. I actually have to like mute them sometimes because their posts are so shocking, and I understand the message they're trying to get across, but like even I can't watch them.
Yeah. And when I say that, because I know that it's necessary a big change in your life. And as you, I love animals. And it's when I believe that vegan should be doing, when you have a reason.
Well, there are studies that show people who go vegan for animal compassion because they love animals and they want humane treatment of animals and all that stuff tend to have healthier, better diets than people who transition to a vegan diet because of, they want weight loss or health benefits from it. So they tend to be more structured and intentional in their diets, and actually, because we'll talk about this, also, but it's a lot of work to be vegan. It's a lot of work. And so those who are doing it because of the animals tend to put in the work more than people who go vegan for their health or to lose weight.
So tell me, what was the harder thing for you on this transition? What you most miss? What is hard for you?
The hardest thing for me was not necessarily cutting out any food, but of course, I would be lying if I saying I wasn't inconvenienced by certain things. Like sometimes I want to eat pizza, but pizza with vegan cheese is just not good. It's not worth it, So like I miss a pizza. Sometimes I miss I love like chicken tacos, or nachos or like just little things that you like to eat. Maybe you don't eat them often, but it's like, now you just can't. And there's really like not good substitutes, for those kinds of food, or you just end up eating a lot of processed food. But I will tell you, like, I've learned so much in the last 4 years about how unhealthy a vegan diet can be. And I think, again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, a lot of people think about a vegan diet like being healthy and eating all this whole food and being fit and skinny. But like, that's not how it is. My reality was that I turned vegan. I went cold turkey, but I wasn't educated. Sure, I knew how to eat a carnivore diet, very healthy. I knew all the lean meats. You get Greek yogurt, some cottage cheese, all these things that are there that are low calorie, high protein, low carb, and when I went to a vegan diet, I was replacing all of that food with now processed meats or processed proteins. And I was eating a lot more carbs and consuming fats because I know all these vegans eat seeds and nuts and all this stuff. And so my diet went to shit really. And I ended up gaining 9 pounds. And I know this through body fat testing, I lost a lot of lean muscle. And so I was actually in a worse state a year after going vegan than I've ever been in my whole life, like physically, and health wise.
And that is when we see you always, Andrea, you are an example because you're always going for information. You go after and you try on your own and you see the best way for you. I'm glad that you are here to help people, and maybe you don't need to lose a year trying, figure it out what's better for your body, because knowledge is a freedom. Now you are a bodybuilder, and of course, since we start to go a little bit serious, you needed to open a section and eat fish. But
An exception. Yeah, I made an exception to eat fish. Yes.
Yeah, you made an
exception.
Exception. You made an exception to eat fish. And why? Because when we start, she didn't eat at all. And she need to eat a lot of processed food. And we had a conversation and said listen, I know how important it is for you. I never wanna, is your values, and I respect a lot. But when we're talking about bodybuilder, I need, we need clean a little bit more your food. But even now, you don't eat much fish. It's just a little bit. You could have figured it out how keep a normal results in a bodybuilding being pretty much 90%
plant-based.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I turned vegan before I started bodybuilding. When I started bodybuilding, my very first show, I was like, I need a vegan coach, and no coaches really know how to coach vegans, or vegetarians a little bit easier, but I found an online coach, and he gave me a meal plan for 16 weeks. I followed. I lost a bunch of weight, but I looked like shit. I just looked unhealthy. When I look back to my meal plan that he gave me, all of my proteins were processed, almost all of them. And I was supplementing with a bunch of protein powder. And it just, I look back thinking this was just the worst thing for me. So I had gone from a year, trying to figure it out on my own, realizing I was losing muscle, gaining fat, and then into bodybuilding, into my prep on a more structured vegan, plan, but still not very healthy. And it's when I got out of that, then I was like, okay, I need to really figure out, I need to be very intentional about understanding what my body needs, what nutrients I'm missing, where I'm deficient, and how I can make up for that. So I did that. And of course, it's just all about education. And there's so many vitamins and minerals that as vegans we're deficient in, like iron and zinc and iodine, salt, and calcium, vitamin D, like all of these things that typically humans are not deficient in because they come from animal products. A lot of the vitamins and minerals we get come from milks like dairy and from red meats. So most people get an adequate amount. But once I started supplementing, like actually understanding where I'm deficient and then getting the right vitamins and eating the right foods, I felt so much better. But going back to your fish thing, I wouldn't always say, but I will say now, like a vegan diet is not necessarily a healthy diet. There are so many great vitamins, nutrients that you can get in red meat and in dairy that you just would have to supplement otherwise. But I did incorporate fish per your recommendation. We're like, okay, we're going to start this prep, and you evaluated me and you said, we could look better. You could look healthier. And so you recommended that I incorporate the first time eggs and fish back into my diet. And so I did. My eggs, my sister has pet chickens, so she would drive them down to me so I could have like humane eggs, that was the best I could do. And then I did incorporate fish, and I since ditched the eggs because the chickens can't produce enough and I refuse to buy them at the store. So I'm like not doing that. But since I've incorporated fish back into my life, even just a little bit, I feel so much better. Like I feel better. And everybody is different. And I think that there are vegans that are going to be strict vegan and think like, oh, well, you're right. I'm not completely vegan. I'm mostly plant-based, but people will have their opinions, but also you sort of have to do like what is best for you, not what's most convenient, not what's easiest, not what's like path of least resistance, not just what you want, but like what's best for you. And I feel like incorporating fish into my diet is making me my healthiest.
I'm so proud of you, babe, because I know what this means to you. Both. I know what vegan means to you, and I know what bodybuilder means to you. So yeah,
it is true. That's actually a good point. It's when you say it like that, because it is true. I'm taking two things I'm very passionate about: animal compassion and also my bodybuilding life, and trying to merge the two the best I can.
But I think you'll find a good way, to be even more vegan than most of people who not eat fish, because now you help other people. So you help the community, the vegan community. And when I say that, it's because I do have other clients, vegan. I have clients that want to go vegan because they have this it's not because they want to lose weight, but because they care a lot about animals. They cannot eat animals anymore. And it's so good to have you to bring out these, because you're right. You guys need to think about everything when you're doing a diet. And it's not only the macros nutrients, but also the micros. And when we're talking about vitamins, and it's why it's good to have a professional. It's good to do, your exams and check yourself to make sure you can have a normal life, even be vegan. And when I say that, I don't mean the vegan people is not normal, but it's different. You are so restricted when you're vegan. You cannot eat a lot of things, and especially for you that you are already restricted as vegan and bodybuilder, the foods that you are allowed to eat, it's not a lot. And you're still happy with your lifestyle. And I think it's why we decided to bring this episode, is to show, you can be healthy, you can look amazing like Andrea does, and you can be vegan. But again, it's gonna depend a lot about your daily attitudes. It's about choosing the best way to get there. And the reason, if you're doing that for lose weight, I don't think it's the best way to go, to be honestly, because again, as Andrea said, it is so hard to replace the animal protein. And if you don't have knowledge or someone for help you, probably instead to lose weight, you're gonna gain weight. And also, to be that restricted to lose weight is not the best way. It's not sustainable, in my opinion. So,
well, you can definitely eat more food at less calories to meet your fitness and weight loss goals. Meaning, if you eat all animal products, you could have easily chicken breast with, you can have cottage cheese, you can have low fat yogurts, you can have all these like low calorie, high protein foods at a higher volume, that are going to help you meet your weight loss goals. For vegans, you, of course, calorie like density is important when you have to consider when you don't eat processed foods, because you want to make sure you get enough calories, but your calories are likely going to come from your carbs, or some tofu. So you're getting like a tofu, I would consider like a fat and a protein. It's not a high protein,
And a lot of sodium that is gonna make you hold water. Without the carbs you're eating, you're gonna hold even more water. Sometimes even into your body get use it, you're gonna feel like a water bomb.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's okay if you hold water, if like you're not worrying about the scale or like how you're holding water. But I think that the things that I would recommend, and I feel so passionately about this, the things that I would recommend if somebody is considering going vegan or wanting to learn how to eat a vegan diet that's going to help support their weight loss and fitness goals is to have as much of a well-rounded, balanced diet as you can. And there are a lot of proteins that could be really advantageous and could be really good protein powders that are available. You can eat like a textured vegetable protein, which I do a lot, which is like amazing, very high in protein, very low in carbs and fat. You want to make sure that you're not overeating the fats like the nut butters and the nuts and the avocados, and that all of that is in moderation, and that you're eating carbs that are going to fill you up, that are going to be like, slow processing, like some brown rice and some good veggies, I mean, it's just the hardest thing probably about going vegan was not what I had to cut out and what foods I missed. It's about being really intentional about the foods that I'm putting in my body and like knowing how those all work to play to optimize my health, to optimize my energy, and to make sure that I'm going to be gaining muscle, and not gaining weight.
So you see, it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot. But I'm lucky. We live in San Diego where there's like a ton of vegan restaurants and a ton of vegan options when you go out to eat. But even then, it's like you go to a restaurant and my husband's vegetarian. Normally when we go to a restaurant now, I will probably have a seafood, like a piece of fish, but he'll opt for the Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger, which literally has like 30 ingredients. It's higher in saturated fat than like a lean piece of ground beef, so worse off for you. It's not healthy at all. And so while there are vegan options on the menu, which is amazing at a lot of these restaurants now in San Diego, but around the country and around the world, it still doesn't mean it's going to be the best, healthiest option for you. Probably a lot easier if you did eat meat and you can have a lean piece of, whatever meat, chicken, all kinds of things. So you got to plan ahead for sure. It's not easy.
It's why you need to have a very strong reason to do that. And it's why a lot of people start has no success because they are going for the results. They are, okay, so I'm not eating meat anymore, I'm gonna lose weight. No, it's not like that. And I'm glad that you can share the both side, You can show us that yes, you can be vegan, look good, and, be healthy. But also, if you are eating meat right now, we are having, oh my God, way easier to prep yourself. You know that we miss it a lot from some steak, and even to work around all this, processed food, that I'm glad that you know a lot and you can put this in your prep and we can work together, because it's not even, the coach out there that are coaching like vegan people. I don't think they have a half knowledge that you do. I think the way that you go for informations and you put together and you try yourself, it's amazing. It's why we decide to bring this, topic and have this conversation with you guys, because it's the way that I feel. We are all having a conversation here.
I know this topic, people could be like, I don't care about going vegan, or I don't have any interest in it, but it's still an interesting sector, way of eating, way of life to learn about, just because like it impacts so much. And so if you're environmentally conscious, if you are interested in animal compassion, you are interested in making major movement in yourself. Like let's say somebody struggles with high blood pressure or struggles with diabetes or, some heart condition. Like there's so many benefits that being on a vegan or vegetarian diet, even for that matter, can help with some diseases, absolutely. But I know it just doesn't come easy. And when I think back to when I turned vegan, like, how was I? What was I thinking? I remember it almost being like, a fad, like, I don't know if I was really committed to like in my soul at that point, like to being vegan. I was like, okay, being vegan is new and it's different and it's changed. And so I would like go, to the grocery store. I'd be like, oh, this, in the freezer section says, plant-based. And so I'm trying all this shit, all this food that's like plant-based because I'm like, oh, it's, vegan and when it's processed and has a ton of sodium and fat and all this other stuff. But my mindset back then was like, oh, it's plant-based. That must be healthy. That is absolutely not true. And as I've evolved without eating animal products, I know how to cook much better, and how to make the foods that I like to eat so much better because I'm not going to be relying on all that processed shit. I'm going to make food at home and it's great. And then you get to like, get really creative. And there's a lot of really like, I didn't know tofu very much before. I was like actually grossed out by the consistency, but I'm like, there's so many great ways to eat tofu and it's a complete protein, because it's soy. So like, that's good. And then there's all these like natural sort of like plant-based or seed-based like sauces and just like other things that you can cook with that just makes it kind of cool and fun.
And that it's what I like to, about you and to see in you. It's, you make work. That is the point. And again, we back to this point. If you want something, make it work.
Yeah.
Find a way. Go after informations. Hide up a good code like Andrea.
And
to help
there
you.
is not a lot of good information. I mean, that's why I created the vegan course because I feel very passionately about it, but I want to teach people like how to do this the right way. If you want to go vegan, if you want to go vegetarian, or if you just want to go partial, either way, if you just want to be able to eat without any animal products at any point for any meal, like this is how you do it successfully in order to meet your weight loss, your health, and your fitness goals.
And even if you're a coach, I highly recommend that you do the course because we have now a lot of people that is going, vegan, and it is knowledge always is good. It's freedom. And the way that you put everything together, sometimes I even forget that you're vegan because it's hard to see the quantity of people that are looking good, healthy, in a vegan that I know it's not a lot. It's the number is a short number of people. What I see people still struggle, struggling with the choice that they're gonna make. If they go into the restaurant, it's what you say, like, oh, how many times I hear about the Impossible Burger as the best thing in the world. Even myself, I recommend like, oh, you go into there, and by here you say like it has 30 something ingredients. You can tell only by to see how many ingredients the food has that it's not a good way. It's not the best options. So thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I want one thing, I was just thinking as you were talking about that, and I always think about like the hardest thing, what's so hard about going vegan, because I almost feel like it should have been harder. It was hard, but it should have been harder. But the one thing is that there's milk powder in everything. So when you want to eat a bar or cereal or crackers or like this whatever it could be, there is milk powder in everything. So for a lot of people just want to cut out dairy, for reasons for their health or for their skin or for, intolerance. And so I would just advise you to like read the labels on all the package of products that you're buying, because they're sneaky. They sneak it in, and there's milk powder in everything. So that's just one piece of advice. And again, that's the hard, tedious part, because you don't have the flexibility of just grabbing food wherever you want, just grabbing a bite here or grabbing a snack there. You have to be really intentional about it, which is just time and labor intensive, but on the other hand, it keeps you from like snacking.
That is right, because since I do have so many options, it's hard for me to control myself.
I don't eat chocolate. Like, even if I wanted chocolate, which I'm not a sweet person, like, I'm not eating chocolate because of the milk.
I understand now people who go vegan because they want to lose weight. That sounds at first like, wow.
But trust me, there are a lot of chips and a lot of other products that do not have milk that you can get. And that's right. In the grocery stores, there are vegan or plant-based options for so much. And a lot of things are really good now. Like, we're lucky to be plant-based in 2023. We're very fortunate. But, and then one of the things, not to be all over the place, but one of the things also, the benefits that I did gain when going vegan almost immediately was my skin cleared up. I used to have like breakouts here and there, and I would like joke, I have adult acne. I never had acne as a kid, but like in my adult years, I got acne, and my face cleared up after I cut out all dairy, all animal products, but I'm assuming it came from dairy, but just kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe these inflammations, right? You're not having anymore. And again, has good points about to be vegan for sure. But the most important for me is the reason that make you be vegan, because it's one of the harder things, because it's not like a prep that you have the day to start and to end. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this strategy for my diet, I'm gonna cut off for a while. It's your lifestyle, and it is hard, and I'm glad that you're there to help people now to make easier the way to get the best balance in life, even be vegan, because it's hard, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here with you, sharing that. I'm still curious about it. I'm here like them, asking you, because even you share a lot. It's still, for me, amazing to see how you can handle and live happy. Look at the way that you do, be vegan. So thank you, babe.
Well, thank you. And if I feel so passionately about the topic. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts or questions on foods and all of that stuff, like, feel free, leave it in the comments or shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm so happy to talk about it, literally, to anybody who will listen. I also have like an Amazon storefront where I list all my favorite vegan proteins, and they're literally like right from my Amazon cart, like things I've purchased myself, because I do get asked a lot, like what foods I eat, what proteins to eat, which is arguably the hardest part when you're vegan, and also particularly when you're a bodybuilder, because you want that high protein, low fat, low carb, one ingredient, protein, which is not easy to come by. But I've listed all my favorites, so it's just for a reference point, if anybody has any interest.
And she also has a course for vegan, and she's also a coach. So I highly recommend, if you're thinking about it, and I always say hire a good professional, because if you get the base, you're gonna get everything, and time is money. So you're gonna save a lot of time, a lot of situations that you can make mistakes if you have a good professional in your side. And Andrea's the best.
Thank you. And I'll link my website below, where it's healthandfitco.com, where there's access to like a bunch of free resources that you can use too. But again, all it takes is a DM to reach out if you have any, questions that you want answered right away, if you're curious or interested in incorporating more of the vegan vegetarian lifestyle into your diet. So.
All right.
Well, thank you for that. Thanks everybody for tuning in to this episode of Behind the Body, and
subscribe, like, subscribe, send to friends, be with us. We are making these videos, this podcast, this platform to help you You, exactly you, who's listening and watching us right now. So please help us. Send a message, tell us what you guys want to know.
And follow us on Instagram at Behind the Bod. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.